don't think. I think only one of us is going to be leaving this room by the time we're done with this.
Are you sure?
I think that's. I think the only way to really wrap up the end of E3 is with a fight to the death.
You're saying this room is not big enough for the both of us.
This room ain't big enough for the two of us, John Sitton. Now, welcome everybody back to E3, and
we're back to Westerado. Is that what's going on here?
That's what, you shot my paw. Actually, you didn't shoot my paw, but you stepped on my dog's paw one time. But he was asking.
Giants!
Yeah. But no, we've got one more conference and then some assorted miscellanea to go through. And this is the very strange, very bizarre, not anything like an E3 press conference, PC briefing.
Yeah, I totally forgot about this one, meaning I didn't watch it.
It's also 2.5 hours long.
I also have heard that it's fucking terrible.
Well, okay, so here's the thing.
So I may have been mistaken when I said Square Enix was the worst.
Okay, so here we go. Microsoft and you know the people like Ubisoft and Sony and EA or whatever, you know, they kind of had like Microsoft and Sony and Ubisoft. They had like the modern press conference, right? Like Square had the like throwback press conference, right? The PC. It wasn't a press conference. It was a fucking talk show, and it was like, it was obvious. I mean, I don't. It's hard to because the PC doesn't have like a like. It would have probably been a little bit different if Valve had put this on, right?
Yeah.
That would have been interesting. But if Valve had put it on, then nobody was going to let fucking Gabe Gabbin leave there without Half-Life 3 or Portal 3 or Left 4 Dead 3 or something.
Yeah,
being
no, you're right.
announced.
Instead, it's brought to you by AMD and
Bohemian
PC
Interactive, PC Gamer, and they got this guy to host it, and I mean, you know, like, okay, if you're gonna host one of these things, you gotta think you're funny, right?
Yeah.
But he just comes off as this weird. I mean, the whole thing is weird. He's got a talk show host desk and a couch for people to sit on, and behind it like a skyline made out of chips, like he's hosting the goddamn PC Tonight Show. Also, you didn't watch it, so you didn't know, but there was all of this kind of weirdly subliminal PC dick measuring in there about it. And it could only happen on the PC because it's the best. And it was like, you know, nobody else in this entire industry I feel is insecure enough to put on a fucking show where they're just like, oh, we're the best.
But that's what everyone does. Microsoft says if you want the best games and the best exclusive games, you come to us. And then Sony's like, if you want the best games that tug on your nostalgia strings, you come to us.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's over there just like, we just make fun games, guys.
I like the way you look at the world through Nintendo-colored glasses, John. But anyway, we got to kick this shit off because it's so late, and we've got to finish this. So, strangely, like in some inexplicable way, the first guest for the PC show, the first annual PC conference ever, is Tripwire and Killing Floor 2.
Isn't that out already?
A game that's already in early access, a game that we've done a video for already. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that they showed some interesting stuff, but like in the pantheon of E3 things, Killing Floor 2 is a non-entity, right? Like, you don't put Killing Floor 2 up against Halo 5. I mean, it's a fun game, don't get me wrong, but like Killing Floor 1 is very popular and people really like it. And I think Killing Floor 2 is a really fun game, but it's weird to lead with, especially when you consider some of the other things that they have here.
So unlike everyone else, they didn't leave with their strong game.
They didn't lead. Well, that's. I was talking with you about this before. They don't have a mic drop moment here, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not announcing. I'm spoiler you guys. It's not Half-Life 3. It's not Portal 3. There's some big stuff in here, but a lot of it's kind of a rehash. So we're probably going to tear through this a little bit faster. I will say that in spite of my vocal fecal attitude, the things that he shows in his little video here are really cool. Yeah. Like, they're adding this new thing in Killing Floor 2 that's advanced gore tech. And I don't know if you saw it when they were playing the trailer for it, but basically they've got like the big guys in their game now they're full of like goo and entrails, and if you blow them up, it just goes everywhere. And they have like a sliding river of entrails that you can see. And it just looks. I mean, it's like.
Okay. I see it.
No, it's great.
Yeah,
it looks great.
Crazy.
They talk a lot, and we're actually going to skip a lot of the stuff where they talk about development through the entire thing. But like this update looks really cool. They also talk about they're going to have some user-generated maps that they're going to be adding into the game. They also have an update that they're doing that's called the Incinerate and Detonate pack, which has some new maps, new perks, new weapons, a rocket launcher, and a flamethrower.
Okay.
And shit. Like, hey, man, it all looks great. It's a weird choice to start out with your conference with.
Yeah, a little bit.
They also announced that from here on out with Killing Floor 2, there's going to be no player progression resets happening. So they're swearing that from here on out, you're going to keep your player status because it's an RPG and you level up and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
that's good to know for all those people in early access.
Yeah. So, and then it kind of ends with him pimping it out. You know, he's like, "Yeah, come to early access, get our game." So yeah, Killing Floor 2, fucking good. From there, I think they brought out. God, who was the next guy that they brought out?
Well,
no, it was an announcement from Tripwire.
Yeah.
Of a new game, which there was an exclusive they did on this conference, Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. Now,
okay.
I don't know if you know what Rising Storm is, but
sounds familiar.
So, okay, you ever heard of Red Orchestra, right?
Yeah.
Red Orchestra 2 is like a World War II game.
Yeah.
Red Orchestra 2 had a spin-off called Rising Sun that was a Pacific campaign, Japanese versus American, I believe.
Okay.
And this is technically Rising Storm 2, but it's focused on Vietnam. And it's a really cool trailer. I think that Vietnam is one of those conflicts that we don't see very much in video games. Like there was Battlefield Vietnam, and then there was a few other Vietnam games, but generally speaking, it's not a thing that it's not a conflict that we've gone over as much as, like, say, World War II.
Well, it's, we lost.
Right, but there's some interesting stories to tell there.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. I'm just saying that our society, we don't like to talk about the ones we didn't necessarily win.
Right. So you're saying that Vietnam and Song of the South kind of in the same category.
Yeah.
It's in the vault. Vietnam's in the vault right now. But no, this looks really cool. I mean, I can't tell. This looks like it might be like a cinematic trailer rendered with the gameplay engine.
Yeah, it kind of looks like.
But I think that if, like, because I know that Red Orchestra, I have a friend who plays Red Orchestra. He's told me that all these games have, like, really big battlefields and they have really high, like, player counts on their servers and, like, mixed arms with vehicles and stuff like that. So that seems cool.
Yeah.
I'll totally like to take a look at that. I'm a big fan. Plus, they got to play some 70s alt rock in their trailer, which is always,
of course. If they did,
fun.
literally, we're listening to this on mute, watching this on mute, and if there wasn't, I would have been upset.
You're just hearing the Rolling Stones in your head, or while you're watching that, just automatically plays anytime you see footage of Vietnam.
I was more actually thinking of Fortunate
Son
yeah.
by Creedence.
Yeah. Literally, that's what was running through my head the entire time.
Yeah. I don't actually know any of the words to Fortunate Son.
I do know a lot of words because of Rock Band.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense.
There's a lot of songs I know because of Rock Band.
Yep. All right, well, moving on. Next up, fucking Chris Roberts couldn't be bothered to come to the PC Gamer thing, so he made himself a little video from London where they're doing motion capture. And it's funny because, you'd think that if this is the PC conference, Roberts won't shut up about how Star Citizen couldn't be on any other platform. It's only possible through the fucking awesome computing power of modern PCs.
Yeah.
This little video announcement that he has, I think, two shots of spaceships. It's mostly motion capture of dudes with big cardboard machine guns. For what I looked it up is a game called Squadron 42 that's going to be like a prequel shooter to Star Citizen.
Okay.
That's got like a bunch of missions, but then it's also coming out episodically. I don't really know. I could say that they show a face here and they show a few things there. Star Citizen's up to something dumb like $86 million.
Jesus.
I mean, like, my God, this better be a good game. I mean,
yeah.
And I worry that no matter how good it is, it might not be able to live up to the hype. But, like, there's this whole shot we're looking at right now, like a giant battleship shooting one direction. That looks great. I would have liked to have seen more of that, you know, instead of just a bunch of guys in mocap suits bouncing off of trampolines and shit like that. And this is the second space shot of this guy kind of like rotating around a ship. Looks really fantastic. I mean, looks really good. So that was pretty much it. And then he said, "I promise I'll be there next year." And it's like, oh, okay.
I question whether there will be a PC conference next year.
I think there will be, and I think that specifically because the next thing that happened at this conference, and this happens twice, and I'm gonna very much gloss over this. AMD comes out. This is a guy from AMD who comes out with a video card and like a briefcase, and he gives the host the briefcase and says, "Don't open this until later." And then he talks for like a good 5 to 10 solid minutes about APUs and channels and
riveting.
And it's one of those things where it's obvious that AMD bought a lot of this stuff so they could come out and they could basically pimp out their stuff.
Yeah.
Like he even drops price points. Like I've never seen that he's like, and this one's $300 and this
the AMD Radeon R9 390.
Right. And I don't have anything against AMD, but
I like AMD. They're
but
all right.
it's more, I mean, I guess it's one of those things where the tone of of a normal E3 press conference is not this kind of thing. This is more of I don't know. I don't even know where you would put this. Like have a guy sitting on a couch talking about a video card. So there's a lot to it, and I don't want to pretend like it's not interesting information if you're into that kind of like PC hardware porn.
Yeah.
But if you're interested, you should probably just go watch it because I can't comment on it. I don't keep up with this stuff close enough.
I figure this would be something at the Consumer Electronics Trade Show or something.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Where they actually talk about PC hardware and stuff like that?
Yep. So there's another place where this happens, and I'm going to kind of gloss over that as well, mostly because I don't keep up with this race anymore, right? The video card arms race. I don't keep up with how many teraflops of APU everything has. So I can't even tell you whether this is a good card or a bad card.
I would assume it's probably a good card.
It's probably a good card. I fucking have no idea. I need a new video card. And then after that, let's see what happened. They brought out some guys to talk about Deus Ex Human Revolution. And we saw, well, the last time we were looking at Deus Ex Human Revolution was yesterday during the Square conference, right?
Yeah, they showed a little bit of it.
This is actually kind of interesting, and I think I like this presentation because they're showing, like at the beginning here, they're just showing like environments, and they're showing kind of like these post-processing effects they're able to put over the environments and how that changes the way that the lighting and stuff looks. They did strangely name drop Tress effects that they're using for Jensen's hair and beard. And then they actually have some honest-to-God solid, like, just straight-up gameplay. Not like a trailer like we saw yesterday, but like somebody actually playing the game. And, again, there's some stuff that you could probably glean from the UI about this particular game, but the kind of upper-tier, like, long-distance look at this is, again, it looks like Deus Ex. I like the fact I was noticing that in the upper left-hand corner of this demo, that instead of having like the little cell phone batteries like they had in the previous game, that they have like one giant battery bar, and there's a place where he goes invisible and it manages to stay up for a while, which is nice because I had a hard time in Deus Ex Human Revolution using the powers because you had to literally consume something to get your energy back. And that was a little bit irritating. So
it's probably one of the bigger complaints they had, and that's why they probably changed it.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks very Deus Ex-y.
Yeah, it looks like Deus Ex. I want to play it.
Yep. The environments are just full of shit. The lighting effects and everything are all real nice. And yeah, looks good. So I don't really know that there's not a whole shitload else to say. Next up, they brought out the Creative Assembly guys to talk about Warhammer.
Okay.
And they started with a teaser that was like all of the previous Warhammer games, like just kind of rolling through stuff that connects to a lot of the previous Total War games. Or did I say Warhammer?
You said Warhammer.
I meant Total War. The problem is that, John, tell the people at home what music is playing behind this. Can you guess?
Is it the... Oh, it's techno?
No.
Oh, everybody wants to save the world in like slow-mo...
The exact music that they were playing behind Assassin's Creed Unity last year, and at least in one other trailer somewhere that I've seen, this like slow-ass rendition of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm also not a big fan of when you reuse the shit that like was used very prominently before.
But whatever.
So this trailer ends. We're going to go really quickly here because they come out, and actually it's funny because they come out and the first question from Douchey McDouche host is, why isn't it called Total Warhammer? And they're like, well, we figure both franchises are important and we want to give them both equal shrift. But there's a shot in this trailer of a griffin landing. That's literally the only thing that you see from Warhammer.
Yeah.
Because they come out and they talk an awful lot about it, and during it they show you these concept art drawings.
Yeah. Okay, that's weird.
And that's pretty much the lot of it. Again, this is one of those things where like this whole conference is full of people where they're really emphasizing on talking about their gameplay development strategies and things like that. And sometimes it's interesting, but a lot of the times it's just like, well, we're so past that.
Yeah.
Right. After that, is that Phil Spencer?
Yeah.
Came out for Xbox, for Microsoft.
Yeah, I was wondering who that was. I thought that was this guy looked familiar.
I think it's Phil Spencer, right?
Yeah.
That's his name?
Yeah, no, that's his name.
Okay. Welcome to the Phil Spencer Memorial Podcast. No, when he gets fired, then we'll get when he resigns, then it'll be the Phil Spencer Memorial Podcast. I actually like Phil Spencer.
I really do.
Like, he seems like he's got a little bit better head on his shoulders than Mr. Matrick did.
In 2 years, this man has about faced in all the right ways with the Xbox One.
Yeah. So because this is the PC conference, he comes out and he talks. He wanks off Windows 10 quite a bit, and DirectX 12.
That's what he's there to do.
Yeah, and Xbox Live. He does make one announcement, which is Killer Instinct on the PC.
Oh, okay, cool.
For, I believe, I can't tell anymore if this is a Windows 10 exclusive, but Killer Instinct coming to the PC, and I think he might even have kind of intimated that they're going to be able to do cross-play matches between Xbox and PC.
I could be wrong here, but I want to say I heard somewhere that Killer Instinct was part of that deal where if you buy it on one console, you get it on the other.
You get it on both.
Yeah, you get it on Xbox 10. So if you own Killer Instinct on like Xbox One, you'll own it on Windows 10.
Windows 10.
I could be wrong on that. 100% wrong. I'm just saying. I thought I'd heard that somewhere. That was one of the games that was going to be like that.
Yeah. So then he brings out a few dudes, and we talk for a little bit about Fable Legends, and they show... I mean, they legit show footage of Fable Legends, and it looks like pretty much all the footage we've seen of Fable Legends. They talk about, the progression, I think, between being able to take your character back and forth between Windows 10 and Xbox One and play with your friends, and how none of this would be possible if it wasn't for DirectX 12 and its Satan magic powers or whatever it's got. Like
Satan magic powers.
That's right. Like, without if Microsoft didn't sell their soul to Satan, if we didn't blood sacrifice Steve Ballmer, none of this would have been possible. And then they also talk about Gigantic, and it's a lot of
So do they actually give like more information about what Gigantic is? Is it actually a MOBA like you had theorized?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes. In this one, they say yes, it is a MOBA, and they talk for a long time about. Like, they talk about how the different characters will be playing differently. So you'll have range characters, you'll have melee characters, you'll have stuff like that. And then I believe that they also say there's going to be a closed beta in August. And then outside of that, they're showing the same trailer that we saw at the Microsoft press briefing behind them. So again, we're tearing through this conference because unless you want to listen to devs talk, and try to pick the nuggets of interesting stuff out of it, I mean, this was the one that was hardest for me to concentrate on, even more so than Square, because they just keep talking and talking and talking. Also, I think it's worth noting that right now you've got Phil Spencer in this little chair, and you've got the two guys from Microsoft sitting on this couch.
Yeah.
I think this is the only time in the entire thing where they use anything but. I think almost everybody else is just one person, maybe two,
on
sitting on this couch. I think Phil Spencer's ass is the only thing that ever touches that chair.
That chair was only brought out for Phil Spencer's ass.
He brought it from home. He was like, "This is mine."
My ass does not touch anything but this chair.
That's right.
If you see any other interviews with Phil Spencer and he's sitting down, it's that chair.
He's bringing that chair. So then he just, it's funny because he kind of holds court over the Microsoft guys. He's just sitting there like he's there ready to pull a piece on him if they try to say anything off script or whatever. Because then they bring out
Bohemia.
No. Rod Ferguson from that's just an ad for Bohemia.
Okay.
From the Coalition.
Yeah, Coalition, Rod Ferguson. That was the guy whose name I was forgetting about earlier.
To talk about Gears, right?
Yeah.
Gears Ultimate Edition, how it's going to be on the PC, how it's awesome.
Yeah.
We just got done playing it today.
The beta, so yeah.
I mean, I don't really know that I have much else to say.
Look out for a super awesome video game show.
Yep. He did.
If this is out before then or after, I don't know.
He didn't really say all that much about anything in particular. So, and then they let him go, and let's see what happened next. I mean, they had some footage of Ultimate Edition, which was nice. I mean, it looks real good. Like the thing is that I can't tell. This looks like with the remastered edition stuff that they've done. The Gears of War looks really good. Like it really does look good. It's like 75% up to the quality of what I would expect from like a game that was developed from the ground up for the new hardware. From there, we have a decidedly bizarre, and there's been a few times during this show where things that could. There are some things that you would never see at an E3 press briefing, and this is one of them. I'm going to show you, John. I'm going to show you the teaser.
What's his hat say? The guy's wearing a hat.
Yeah, he put on a baseball cap. I think it says like thumbs up on it. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to let you watch this trailer, and we're going to play a little game to see if you can guess what this is.
Like, so I need to figure out what it is.
You need to figure out what it is
as quickly as possible.
You could tell people what you're seeing on the screen.
Euro Trucker USA Edition.
Damn, that was fast. American Truck Simulator. Basically, the guys that made Euro Truck Simulator are making an American version of Euro Truck Simulator.
I just saw Big Rigs, and I was like, wait, I think I heard something about this.
It's actually Big Rig Truckers Off the Road 3, but no. But I'll tell you, this looks better than Euro Truck Simulator does. Like, the environments seem a little bit more polished. My biggest question for them is...
It's not driving, it's trucking.
Is this game going to take like some kind of like dual core SLI configuration, 8 core i7 in order to be able to run at anything beyond a crawl? Because Euro Truck Simulator kind of runs like shit. And I don't have a terrible computer.
Yeah.
Because it had Oculus support. So I downloaded it. And I could get in the rig and I could look around the rig. And it ran like utter and complete garbage. And I'm just like, what is going on, Euro Truck Simulator, that you run like such shit?
And after it was the guy like, and this game can only be played on the power PC.
Yeah. All you console
not possible on a console. You will never experience Euro Truck Simulator or American Truck Simulator on a console.
He did say that you can like recreate his route, and I think they're working with like Google Maps and like
weird.
Yeah. So I guess the question is American Truck Simulator going to put the crew to shame because it's actually like all of the United States?
Jesus.
Yeah, that seems pretty ridiculous. So then, let's see. I don't know what we're looking at here. Oh, Eve Valkyrie. Then they had a CCP guy come down, and they had this really, really terrible footage. I mean, the problem with a lot of this stuff. So, like, they had this video they pre-recorded with the host, and I wish I could remember his name because he's so irritating. But it's like it's funny because you'll see this in a second when they cut over to the footage that where he's playing the game.
Yeah.
They invited him to play it on the Oculus. Because like you see him as the host and he's all dressed up, his hair is combed, he's got a suit, everything looks, he's obviously made up for TV. And they switch over to him like at this booth. He looks like he just crawled out from under a bridge or something.
He dresses like you or me.
Yeah.
Like a schlub.
Yeah, like he just looks like the biggest nerd. He's like not even shaved.
Yeah.
I mean, like
his hair's all frizzy and all over the place.
And then it's just this video of him going, "Oh my God, wow, this is incredible. I can't believe it. Holy shit, black and blue." And
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Can I have a cigarette? I feel like I just had sex.
He said at the very beginning that the last time that he put on an Oculus, he threw up while he was wearing it. And I was like, when he started that video, I was like, blow chunks. I want to see you throw up, motherfucker. And then they talk for about 5 minutes about how, like, yeah, you could look around in the Oculus and see stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah, we know.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of the Oculus.
Yeah, they play a bunch of Eve Valkyrie footage over it, which we've seen from the Oculus show, and that's
All right.
Pretty much the entirety of it.
I'm going to be honest. I'm still not wowed by the PC conference.
Yeah, well, it's...
I mean, I'm not saying stuff they've shown is bad.
Yeah.
I'm not wowed, though.
I'm going to tell you again, there are 0 mic drop moments in this entire conference. There's nothing that, even the stuff that's bigger, you could totally see it coming, right?
Yeah. All right.
So next up is Dean Hall, who is the guy who made DayZ. And they talked with him for a little while about DayZ and about, like, early access and what a pain in the ass it's been for him, and how
the fact that it's never leaving early access, apparently.
How he had to give it back over to Bohemia to develop after a certain thing. And they talk about Ion for a while.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is there was a couple little choice tidbits that I wrote down about Ion. He said that he says multiple times that it's primarily focused on the inside of space stations, on running around inside of space stations.
Yeah.
It's not Eve Valkyrie. It's not. Oh, before we move too much further on, the CCP guy did say that Eve Valkyrie is going to have no connection, no direct gameplay connection to Eve Online.
Okay.
So unlike Dust 343 or whatever, which I don't even know if that still has a connection.
I don't know either.
Some people just gaming the ground game because there's only 2 people playing the game.
Yeah.
But Dean Hall, he talked about Ion, and so he said it was focused inside of the space stations, not like Star Citizen, not like Eve. He's very vague, but he does mention that the game is Diablo-esque a number of different times.
Okay.
Which further solidifies for me the idea that, like, that trailer means nothing. Like,
that trailer we saw of that doesn't tell us anything.
Right. It's just flying around in space, but this is going to be something very different. It's going to be more about exploring space stations. He also mentions briefly that he's got some kind of realistic organ simulator for the characters in the game. Like, if you get your liver damaged, then you will die unless you get help or something. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe he's working with tripwire, and when you stub your toe, all of your organs come spilling out onto the ground. I think you slip on them, and then it starts playing Yakety Sax. Because I would play the shit out of that game.
All right.
But other than that, he doesn't say very much. There's a few points where he gets real close to being salty about when he's talking about DayZ and his experience with it. But, again, not a shitload of information, and visually it's the same trailer that we saw at, what was...
Microsoft?
Yeah. Was it Microsoft? Okay. From there, we move on to a Kickstarted game. Oh, yeah, that goes on for a while. Which I don't know if you've actually seen this one. I've actually played a real brief demo because it's got Oculus support. Strafe.
I've heard of it.
Heard of Strafe? It's basically like it's a real kind of chunky, like old kind of Doom-looking first-person shooter.
Yes.
It's got these real big fat bullets in it. It's got some nice monster stuff. It's kind of a throwback of like using a modern game engine to essentially make like Quake, right? And they said in their interview that the blood effects are persistent, so they stay. They talk a little bit about using special weapons, and when you're done with them, throwing them like a melee thing. I mean, Borderlands already did that. It looks real fun. I mean, again, it's a Kickstarted game. It's got some nifty-looking monsters. It's real chunky. It's a nice kind of throwback thing. I know it runs on Oculus.
Yeah.
I know that they're shooting for 60 frames per second.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, like you said, it's kind of someone who made took all like the assets from like a Quake or whatever,
right?
Like an old style game, like that's all clunky and everything, and then use that to make a game with modern movements and engines and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's a game that I think has already been kickstarted, and I think at the end of their thing where they say come to our Kickstarter. Oh no, that's or maybe that was somebody else. But yeah, I mean it looks good. Lots of different guns. I think they said the levels are procedurally generated.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that it's looks like a real fun game. I don't really know very much else. This is one of the problems that you also get into with PC, especially like you and I who do a lot of early access stuff. Is there a lot of games like on Steam where you can just describe them very simply, and there's not really a whole hell of a lot outside of that to talk about with them.
Yeah.
I mean, the nostalgia's there, and I like the way that it's stylized to a point where it doesn't look old. It just looks stylized.
Yeah.
And I really like the blood effects. So from there, we got a trailer for the expansion to Pillars of Eternity.
Okay.
Pillars of Eternity, The White March. And the trailer is it's weirdly cinematic. It's got this really dramatic voiceover, and it talks about the White Forge and how many have tried to conquer it and nobody has ever come back alive, but like you're the hero and you've done all these things, and so now you can come. I actually get the impression in the beginning where she's like, you united the Twizzler Federation and you conquered Skittle Mountain or whatever, and it's like, oh, I haven't finished playing Pillars of Eternity, so I never saw that.
I wasn't aware there was a wow, that was awkward.
Yeah, this whole conference is very...
It was like there's two guys walking up to the desk to shake the guy's hand, and the one guy who's standing in front of the other guy like keeps blocking the other guy unintentionally from shaking the guy's hand.
I remember this part. The host won't let the second guy sit down until he shakes his hand.
Yeah.
Like he goes to not shake his hand. He's like, no, you got to shake my hand, blah, 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 blah. So, again, there's some information here. They talked about that there's going to be a big level. This expansion is going to have a big level cap, way more dialogue, new weapons, new special weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It kind of your standard stuff, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's an expansion to an American, like a PC RPG, and it has what you would expect. More stuff. They don't show any gameplay trailer. They don't show any gameplay, just that trailer.
Yeah. There was no gameplay in that trailer.
Yeah, it was just cinematic, and it wasn't even indicative of what Pillars of Eternity is like. It was just a
thing,
just a trailer, right?
All right.
And I think that they're also, I don't know if they were before, but they're partnered up with Paradox apparently now for funding and stuff like that. But from there, the devs for Elite Dangerous came out and showed what was probably one of the more charming, probably one of the most charming trailers from at least this particular conference.
Yeah.
And it kept me guessing about what exactly it was, because there's this lovely little song, this lovely little kind of hipstery song. There's this weird looking hipster dude. And
in a field.
He's in a field. He's laying around.
He's reading a book. He's telling the kid to listen to talk to the hand. Not
I like
that
if it wasn't for the music, it probably wouldn't be nearly as interesting as it is. Can you guess what this is? It's actually kind of like a franchise that we've already seen a little bit before.
Is it? Is it The Sims?
No, sort of. I will ruin it for you now while we watch the rest of the trailer. It's Planet Coaster. It's like a theme park tycoon type game. And it looks, this trailer obviously is not gameplay, because the dude runs around and a whole theme park springs up around him, and then he gets to the front and a bunch of kids roll over him, and then the dinosaur mascot picks him up, gives a big hug, and then it says, it's a real, like I said, it's a real cute little trailer.
Yeah, it's very cute.
It's got a nice little soundtrack. I don't think that this has anything to do with, and it's interesting that this is from the people who, the studio that made Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
So, have you ever played any of the Roller Coaster Tycoon games, John?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So, Planet Coaster, whatever, looks great. From there, we got one of the ArenaNet guys to come out to talk about there's a Guild Wars 2 expansion coming out, Heart of Thorns. They show in this trailer guild halls, which apparently is going to be the big thing for this. Yeah. And it's like this giant area that you can set up as your guild hall. You can decorate it. You can do various different things on it. The most interesting part of this, I think, was the fact that they said that in order to get your guild hall, you and your guild have to essentially fight through the raid dungeon that like kind of leads up to the guild hall. So you have to clear the monsters out of where you're at and then beat some bosses. Then you can have it. The only two big things that I could see that were in here were you can build like an arena that you can have like little skirmishes and stuff in, and that everybody can group up and then jump into a giant MCP portal to go into missions together.
Yeah.
It looks real nice. It's been a long time since I've played Guild Wars 2, and I hate to keep just saying to everything, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice art style,
I'm going to be honest, I never played Guild Wars 2. I think I remember playing Guild Wars 1 like way, way, way back in the day and going, this is not for me, and then moving on.
Yep. That's pretty much all I can say. I mean, you'd be better off to watch the trailer than to listen to anything that I'm saying, because it's pretty much just an expansion to Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
And they do show gameplay, but it's largely just this big area. You can put up flags and yada, yada, yada. From there, we move back into Hitman. And let's see if I can't flip forward here. They talk an awful lot about the contracts mode and the way that you can put stuff together, how big the environments are and things like that. I think the highlight of them showing Hitman here, the same as what they did with Deus Ex, is that they're showing footage that we didn't see at the Square conference or at the Sony conference. It looks
like Hitman.
I'm not going to say it looks real nice again.
Yeah, no, it looks like Hitman. It looks
does.
just as good as it did in the other two conferences, even though we're getting different footage.
It absolutely does. I don't think there's anything really new of note. I mean, at the Square conference, they talked about that whole Iago thing.
Yeah.
Here they did not. This is just basically a kind of just a sizzle reel of a bunch of stuff from Hitman, and that's pretty much all there was. The only big thing was that the guy's microphone for Hitman didn't work, and so he had to snuggle up to the host to talk into the microphone that he's got over his ear. And that's pretty much the entirety
That's awkward.
of what happened here. Let's see. From there, again, I'm sorry if it seems like we're just rolling quick here, but we got a lot to get through, and John's been podcasting with me all goddamn day. So Lisa Su came out. She's the CEO or something of AMD to show a couple things. There was one that was pretty nifty that was like a kind of like a console almost. See if I can show you a picture of it. Yeah, this thing, which is actually a pretty powerful gaming PC, but it's the size of kind of like a big, tall console.
The fuck?
Yeah, apparently it's got like one of their latest video cards in it. It's got a lot of like crazy thermal management going on in it. Whatever.
That's weird.
They also show a real small video card, like and some new APUs. Whatever. Again,
did we ever find out what was in the briefcase?
It was that what she was just holding. It was with like new dual APU board or something that they're working on.
All right.
The only good part of that was when that console looking thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The guy's like, they have this big dude with sunglasses. Bring it out. And the guy's like, can I keep this? And she's like, you have to like fight him for it. And then he's like, oh, okay. From there, the Bohemia guys came out to talk about an expansion to Arma 3 called Tanoa. It's a new area that's like a tropical archipelago. They basically just showed a lot of sizzle shots of kind of flying around and trees and ground and shit like that. Looks nice.
Yeah.
Some new stuff. They're like, we're looking forward to the new people doing new mods. Tanoa.
I have
John
no
is
interest.
rapidly losing interest in the PC
literally, I'm really glad that I didn't watch this because I'm just like, I could give two shits at this point.
I'm kind of with you. That's why in 38 minutes we've gone over an hour and a half worth of stuff because I'm literally just saying the thing and then moving on to the next thing. Okay, I tell you what. The next thing, there was actually some interesting stuff because they talked about that Beyond Eyes game.
Oh,
right?
yeah, Beyond Eyes. Yeah, they showed it at the Microsoft conference.
Was it Microsoft or was
yeah,
it
that was
Sony?
Microsoft.
Okay. About the little girl who's blind and can't see, and she's walking around. And there were two really interesting things that they talked with the developer lady about, right?
Yeah.
One was that she talks about how there's an idea in the game, and I think it would be interesting if it was, because for those of you who don't remember this, it's like a third-person game with a little girl, but she only can you see only a little ways around her, like what her senses can perceive. So she talks about how like they played with the idea that like what she's able to hear, that her senses catch up with each other. So the example that she gives is like, so she hears like babbling water and she's like, oh, it's a fountain. But then when you get close enough to it and she's able to smell it, she's like, oh, that's a sewer. Right?
Yeah. Like I remember in one of the trailers for the that they were shown in the Microsoft conference or whatever, it's the girl walking and she sees what looks like a clothesline, and as she gets right up to it, it ends up being a scarecrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's because she hears like clothes flapping in the wind, and so she thinks it's a line of like laundry.
Oh, okay.
And then she gets up to it, and it's a fucking scarecrow, and it scares the crap out of her.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that idea of the kind of limited sight and making that kind of I'm still not entirely sure. Like, I'd kind of like to know what the gameplay loop for this is, like what you're actually doing.
You're trying to... Okay, so the story is that I actually do know a little bit about this.
Oh, okay.
So the story is that she is blind. She could see, but she was blinded in a car accident or something like that. And so she lives at home in her garden. She doesn't venture outside of that. Eventually, a cat wanders into her yard and becomes like her pet.
Okay.
And then the cat leaves her yard.
Fucking cats, man.
And so she like the cat keeps trying to get her to leave the yard, to leave her safe zone.
Okay.
To try to get her into the open world.
He's trying to lure her to where all the other cats are waiting to fucking eat her. Because,
Probably. And so
cat.
she's going on a search for her pet cat, essentially.
Okay.
Or her friend.
So it's Beyond Eyes, The Quest for Mittens.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, I like it. The other thing that I like is when he was interviewing her. It's one of the few times that somebody said something that was interesting, because he was like, "Well, what did you learn from doing this?" And she's like, "I'm really glad that this was my first game, because my scope was way too big, and I just let it get away from me, but I managed to plow through and actually finish the game and stuff like that." It's just that if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have started a lot smaller, because I didn't know what it took to make a game as big as the one that I wanted. From there, we took a look at Dirty Bomb, another game that we already have a video up on the website for it. A really fun trailer. Made with the characters. For those of you who don't know, Dirty Bomb is a free-to-play FPS from Splash Damage. This guy, Paul Wedgwood, was talking about it. He said he was really excited because this is the first IP that they've ever created that is theirs.
Yeah.
I guess Brink was owned by whoever it was that...
Bethesda?
Was it Bethesda? Is there ZeniMax or something? I don't know. I don't... That game was so blurred. So they show this cinematic trailer for Dirty Bomb, and it makes Dirty Bomb look so much better than Dirty Bomb actually
it's like
is.
you play this, if you were to go play Dirty Bomb, you might be a little disappointed.
I mean, just like, it's obviously a cinematic trailer. And whatever. That's pretty much...
Yeah, for a cinematic trailer, it's actually a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
A little insulting to soldiers.
Yeah, I noticed that because it starts with this a picture
like
of
a hero
soldier.
is a man who, some people are brave soldiers, blah 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 blah. We call them fucking chumps.
Yeah,
it's like, what?
And then they punch him. They punch the soldier in the face, and then they go do their mission. And at the end of the trailer, as they're leaving,
they kick him while he's down,
groaning and getting up, and kicks him again. I'm just like, Jesus, guys, what the fuck? Also, so yeah, I don't know. Dirty Bomb,
it's
whatever.
just weird.
It's very bizarre. From there, we talked a little bit about Tacoma. The guy, it was the same trailer that we've seen before, which is kind of the motif for this, right? There was a little bit of new footage, but he kind of talked about the challenges of creating a level that has zero-G physics in it, basically.
Because he talks about when you're making a game where you're essentially simulating walking, because that's what he referred to, because he's Gone Home is constantly referred to as walking simulator.
Right.
It's because you're doing it all on one plane.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're even though it's a 3D game, you're only doing it on 1D, one level, single plane. He's like, here we're changing it so that you can look up, jump into a corner, and have to figure out that as well.
Yeah. Not a whole lot else.
Yeah,
besides
not a
that.
whole lot
again, the thing is that I feel like never mind. I'm just going to keep repeating myself here. So we're going to move on from there. From there, actually, a game that I've been interested in. From there. Okay, this is the one that I managed to skip over. I think this was when I was trying to connect to the two parts that I was watching.
Yeah.
Soma, the new trailer for a new game being made by the Amnesia developers.
Yes. And it kind of seems like they're sticking to what they know. Their same old tricks.
Well, okay, so here I've been thinking about it. The guys, they got a guy, and he's in an underwater. I think that this is an underwater research station or something.
Yeah.
And there's a lady in there, and she yells. She's like, "Don't look at it! Fucking don't look at it!" Which was kind of the thing from the first Amnesia.
There's a monster. Don't look at it.
Right. Well, in the first Amnesia, the monster, if you looked at it, you would go insane. Here, I actually really appreciate, because in Amnesia, I think you just got kind of wobbly vision and a lot of breathing and stuff. Here, it really kind of fucks your vision up when you're looking at this thing. In fact, it's kind of hard to even see what it is. And I think that's cool. So we'll check that out on the... Have you played any of the Amnesia games? I
played the first one.
I always meant to go back and play Machine for Pigs.
Yeah.
So a lot of people. It was one of those videos where Jason and I made it, and people were just furious with us because we were really not listening to what was going on and not letting the environment have its way with us at all.
Yeah.
I was just like, scare me, bitch! Scare me now! And the game was like, no, I'm not that kind of game. And it was like, ah! Let's see. From there, I believe that we move on to, let's see,
some type of military game.
oh, that's DayZ. That's DayZ. This is Bohemian Interactive talking about DayZ.
Okay, wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking Arma.
No.
They talked about Arma earlier.
Yeah. So actually, I watched this before, and there was one thing about this that really excited me.
Okay.
And that's that they said that they're going to be implementing single player for DayZ. And I'm like,
okay.
Wonderful. I do not want to be held up and handcuffed to a car with all my shit taken. This is just not what I'm interested in.
What little do you know, that's going to happen in single player, too.
They put bots in that act like other people. You jerks! Motherfuckers! So, yeah, DayZ. They also talked about adding in a bunch of things. He talks about a really interesting thing where he says, like, you can find, like, a car, like a wrecked-up car, and then you can, like, work with other people to, like, go cannibalize parts out of other things to make a functional car.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it seems like they're doing some updating for DayZ. I mean, I've never been able to really get into DayZ.
Me neither.
You know,
I have friends that love it, so.
I don't think it's a bad game, but when we played it for a long time ago on the loading bar, people were really upset with us. They're like, what do you mean you didn't memorize the entire map before you started playing? And it was like, yeah, I didn't do that.
Sorry.
Yep. All right, from there, I think that they go to... Yeah, from there they jump over to another property, which I think... I'm trying to find the trailer for it. That Bohemia is doing, which I'm actually really interested in. I need to go buy the early access for this.
Okay.
Take on Mars.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah,
it's on Steam Early Access, and it seems like kind of a weird combination between like Kerbal Space Program and Minecraft in a way of like building things and surviving on another planet. It's kind of multiplayer focused.
Yeah, I think we actually looked at this at one point.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't actually like play it, but we looked at it, thought about it.
I think it's still kind of really early and rough, but from playing Kerbal Space Program, it kind of seems like right up my alley. I want to build myself a little Mars fort. This is another mod that's obviously being turned into a full game, and it looks really cool. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, there was just a spaceship crashing into something. It makes me laugh. So yeah. That is Take on Mars. And that doesn't look like Mars to me.
That looked like the moon.
It looked like the moon. And then I see like there's a space station.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is like there's like EVA stuff. I'm wondering, do you have to like build a rocket? Because
you might.
I know how to build a rocket kind of. A little bit.
You and your obsession with Kerbals.
I love Kerbal Space Program. I'm not afraid to admit it. Hey, John, have you ever wanted to hear Cliffy B talk about his new game and not talk about his new game at all?
That sounds like every Cliffy B interview ever.
Yep. Have I got a treat for you then? Because Cliffy B is making a new game, and they show that exact same teaser trailer that doesn't really show anything. He talks some shit about. He
What's
says,
his new game called?
Let's see. Project Blue Streak.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, Boss Key Productions Project Blue Streak. He talks here about how he's obsessed with playing Counter-Strike and how he wants to get back to FPS. Like he's been in third person for too long and yada, yada, yada. Go watch it. Nothing actual or specific is talked about here. From there is actually something that I am, again, just a straight-up sucker for Devolver Digital.
You and me both.
And they showed their game Enter the Gungeon, which I think I've seen a few times before. It's like a combination of a bullet hell and dungeon crawler, and you could kick over tables. And then they talk about using the invincibility frames, and then you roll from like Dark Souls as the way to get around some of this bullet hell stuff. It looks real. It's got a 16-bit art style. It looks really spiffy and really
kind of reminds me a little bit of what is it? Nuclear Throne?
Yeah. From fucking what's her thing with the D? Can't remember the name.
I don't. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of a Nuclear Throne.
Oh, Vlambeer.
Yeah, Vlambeer.
And what's interesting with this is that they're having the host guy play co-op, but he's got God mode turned on because he's shitty. But when they get done with the boss, they get new guns, and one of the guns that the dude gets is basically like a laser that is rainbows that apparently when you shoot it like makes the soundtrack change. There you go. You can see it now. So again,
and the gun looks like a unicorn horn.
Yep, looks like a unicorn horn with a handle on it, shooting a bunch of laser rainbows everywhere.
Nice.
I'm down.
Yeah,
I'm down with it. Yep, I'm totally go for it. I wish that they would have started with Devolver and let them show everything that they wanted to show. I want to see more of that. What was the Russia?
Oh, Mother Russia Bleeds?
Mother Russia Bleeds. I want to see Mother Russia Bleeds. I want to see more of pretty much everything that those guys are making. And I want them to put out Broforce entirely.
Yeah, well, they're still working on it.
I know.
They're still doing updates.
I know.
It's going to be out eventually.
There hasn't been a new update in a while. I usually get them. But, yeah, they said they've got over 200 hand-designed weapons, and I really, really, really like the table flipping mechanic that they have in there. All right, so then from there, we get probably the biggest hosts of the entire show. It's like they saved the best for last. Blizzard came out. And they had basically two big old motherfuckers to announce. So I'm going to put the trailer on. They're announcing their first Quotey Fingers expansion for Heroes of the Storm.
Okay.
And what is it called? Eternal Conflict. And basically what they're doing is they're adding more Diablo characters and stages to Heroes of the Storm. Because up until now, the stages in Heroes of the Storm are just original for Heroes of the Storm, but they're actually adding Diablo-themed stages, and then they're adding the Skeleton King and the Monk as playable characters. And so they have a real nice little cinematic trailer where they got the Crusader and the Monk fighting Skeleton King and the Butcher, who I believe is already in the game. Or that might be one of the other
the Butcher is.
archdemons that's already in the game.
No, the Butcher is.
Okay. Yeah, so they talked about it. They actually, if it's coming out June 30th, they actually said they're also adding in the Treasure Goblin from Diablo 3 in the first 30 seconds before the gates open, which is really cool because you got something to do as everybody can gang up on the Treasure Goblin to try to get some more money. And it's actually the money that you're getting for the Treasure Goblin is the gold coins that you use to like unlock new heroes and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So it's actually like a thing. They have some details. I'm actually really interested in playing the Skeleton King because they showed that he's got this thing where he casts basically it's like a U-shaped cage around a person that's like running away from them, so they have to stand there and fight.
I just think it's weird that they're announcing an expansion for Heroes of the Storm when Heroes of the Storm literally just came out.
It's like what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, But you know what? How long was it until they announced the first Hearthstone?
True.
When it went full on.
True.
I think it's tricky because it's been in beta for so long.
Yeah.
That they kind of consider that to be like, the beginning of the life cycle. The other thing that they announced was basically, I don't know exactly how this is going to work, but for Legacy of the Void, the Protoss expansion or the Protoss chapter for StarCraft 2. They've got this new thing called Whispers of Oblivion, and it's supposed to be coming with the beta, I believe, of the game. There's going to be 3 missions starring Zeratul that basically talk about where Zeratul has been from the end of Heart of the Swarm until the beginning of Legacy of the Void.
Okay.
And they've got a trailer. And as always, Blizzard doesn't make shitty trailers.
No, they do not.
It's if you like the Protoss, which I'm not a big fan of, then like there's a lot of Protoss and lasers and shit like that happening. But this is probably, like I said, about as close to a mic drop moment as the PC conference ever really got. Because after this, there was only one more announcement, and then they were pretty much done. And that announcement was they brought on what's his name from Hello Games to talk about No Man's Sky. And in what might be considered to be a somewhat dick move, I guess, the main thing that he said was that No Man's Sky is coming out on the PC the same day as the PS4.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, we always knew that.
Had that not been confirmed? Like
I always thought it was confirmed that it was coming out on PS4 and PC at the same time.
Okay,
but do we have a release date?
No, he actually even says when they talk to him, I wanted to come here and tell you the release date, but because of reasons outside of my control, I can't. Like, so I don't know, some kind of publisher thing or whatever. And that was the PC conference. John, what did you think of the PC conference?
It was okay. It was nice.
It was
nice. As you've been saying throughout this whole thing, it was nice.
You know what I wish that they, you know what I hope they, what I'm going to suggest right now to the nice fine folks at PC Game Magazine and AMD and Bohemia and all this shit. You know when they should have this? They should have this on the, like, at the end of the first day of E3.
Yeah.
Because day one, it used to be like the EA conference was like on the first day, or like there used to be more conferences than just. I mean, the first day is filled up with conferences.
Yeah.
Wasn't this on the? Wait, this was on that day, wasn't it?
This was on day 2.
Okay, so it was on day 2. Never mind. I'm full of shit. Yeah, because I had to record with Grant, so I couldn't watch it live. I'm just remembering that now.
Yeah, no, it was on day 2.
Maybe just cut it down a little bit and focus more on trailers and less on making nyuk with the
it literally
devs.
needed to be like every other press conference is maybe an hour and 30 minutes at most.
Right, 90 minutes at the max.
You need to cut yours down to match that. I don't think I know PC has more because there's just fucking everything's on PC, but
absolutely. So that was the PC conference, and you know what? This is the place where we were normally going to take a break. But I told John that I was going to get him out of here, so there's no break. So from here, we're going to do one more stint, and this is the miscellaneous trailers.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, there's a shitload of them. We're going to go ahead and we're going to focus on
stuff that didn't get talked about in other conferences that strangely were.
Some were interesting, some were just smaller games. This is the one we're going to start with. We're going to start with the one that I felt the most should have been somewhere.
Yeah.
This is a really
you would have
interesting,
expected this to be somewhere.
Really fantastic trailer, and I would have expected. The only thing I could think of is the Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain trailer.
Yes.
Okay? The only reason that I can think of that this trailer wouldn't be at the conference is because of Konami and Kojima and all that stuff. That there's some bad blood to the point where they're just done with his ass, right? They're not going to spend any time or favors to get his trailers anywhere. But, you know, it's funny. We've been watching these Phantom Pain trailers, and they've all been very dark. This is so dark and weird. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on in this trailer. You got Boss, he's got the thing on it coming out, shrapnel in his head, and it's turned into a giant devil horn.
Yeah.
There's more like blood on the face in this trailer than in all the Tomb Raider trailers put together.
Yeah.
I don't know, John. Do you Metal Gear? Do you Metal Gear, bro? Do you even Metal Gear, bro?
I played Metal Gear Solid 1.
Okay.
I played Metal Gear Solid 2.
Okay.
I never played 3.
Okay.
I never played Portable Ops. I never played Snake Eater, or is that 3?
3 is Snake Eater.
Okay.
Peace Walker.
Peace Walker. I never played Peace Walker. I never played 4. Like, I tried to play 4, but I just couldn't do it. Like, by the time I got to 4, I started it, got about 30 minutes into it, and I was like, I can't do this. And just put it down and never touched it again.
Okay. That's fair enough, man. I know that, man, the Metal Gear is an acquired taste. It is not something for everybody.
I liked 3. I liked 1 and 2. I really did. Like, not enough that I'm like, oh my god, they're the best games ever. But I played through both of those beginning to end.
Okay.
And just for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just time moved on or whatever, but when I got to 4, I was just I missed 3 because I didn't have a PS2 at the time. And then when I got to got my PS3 and played, I was like, I'm going to play 4. All right. Oh God, I can't do this. You know, I don't know what it was.
Okay. Well, maybe give it another try at some point, but whatever. I mean, so this trailer has a lot of interesting things in it. I don't know. Okay, so here's one thing. I don't know if we've ever seen, and this is a really weird thing. There's a shot in here of, there's a, Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain has more like people missing limbs than any video game I've ever seen in my entire life. And that includes like Limb Crusher 2014.
Yeah.
There's a shot here where we see a character that I'm pretty sure is Gene, Gene, from Portable Ops, I believe. I believe is where he comes from. This guy. I believe that's Gene. The whole trailer is talking a lot about language and how this guy is going to co-opt language to control people and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's very weird. It's very heavy. I don't have any fucking idea what's going on. But I'm interested. Like, I want to know what's going on. We see a little bit of a character that looks a lot like Paz, who died in Portable Ops. We got speakers in people's throats, and I thought that after last year with him smearing the fucking people's ashes on his faces that it couldn't get any weirder, but nope, it's weirder.
Yeah.
Even the shit that, like, okay, we've got these like
close up of like cyber undead boobs.
Yeah, like these zombies. I mean, it looks like zombies, right? But they move like the fucking little girl from The Ring, right?
Yeah.
They're all like yeah, I don't have any goddamn clue. And then they keep flashing stuff up on the screen like skull for skull. Like, what does that even mean, man?
Well, it starts off by saying eye for an eye,
right?
Limb for limb,
right?
Skull for skull.
We see. I mean, I guess it's kind of a spoiler. So I guess if you guys don't want to know anything about this, I know that Skullface now has like a Lone Ranger mask on for some reason. Chico appears to be piloting a Metal Gear Rex at some point, chasing Snake down. There's like this Indian guy, like Native American guy, smoking a peace pipe or something, and fucking what?
Kojima, man.
Yeah,
Kojima.
Man. Yeah, but I think it's almost like I feel like maybe the reason that Kojima left Konami is because he was like, fuck it, this is my last game. I'm going to go berserk this time. Oh, they thought it was weird and convoluted before. You bitches ain't seen nothing yet. Nothing.
By the time I get done with this game, they ain't going to want me to make another Metal Gear.
That's right.
And then it turns out they don't even want him to work at the company.
Yep. Needless to say, I really want to play this game.
All right.
What do you think about this trailer?
I mean, it looks good. Like I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah,
and I am a little worried that because I never played Peace Walker or any of the other games.
Well, see, that's the thing is that this happens after 3 and Peace Walker. Portable Ops is technically in there, but it doesn't really matter.
And then I also never played, even though I got it as part of the PlayStation Plus thing. I haven't played what is it, Ground Zeroes or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, I don't think you even really. Well, maybe. I mean. But that takes like 15 minutes to play through.
Yeah, but I got it for free, so I with the intention of playing it. Like it was like free for PlayStation Plus this month, and I was like, I'll download it and I'll probably play it at some point.
I can tell you right now that it looks like to me it looks like from this trailer and from all the trailers that I've seen before that the beginning of this game is probably going to be wiping the slate clean for this particular game.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
Also, that rock is starting to look like a devil horn.
Yep, I think that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Also, what was up with there was a part where like rocks were chasing him?
Yeah.
I don't know why were the rocks chasing him?
And then there's a thing with like two
it's
twins.
Chico, and then it like rotates over
and there's another Chico.
Yeah. I get the feeling that there's like
Are they like Tomax and Zaymot from G.I. Joe?
No, there's only one of them. And it says V has come to 5. Okay, never mind.
Okay,
sorry.
Yeah.
I get the feeling this game's going to have a lot to do with madness, personally.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That some of the language stuff is going to end up being about madness and whatever. I can definitely say that it looks far more brutal than anything else. On a lighter note, next up, Transformers Devastation.
I'm excited.
Which is a Platinum Games. I think it's like a brawler, like an arena brawler.
Yeah. I don't know what type of game it is. I actually don't, like, just based on the trailer, it looks like an arena brawler of some kind. But all you had to say was Platinum Games, Transformers, and not just any Transformers, G1 motherfucking cartoon Transformers.
Yeah, get your Beast Wars out of here, bitch.
And then add to that, original voice actors, which includes the voice actor for Bumblebee, who hasn't voiced the character since the original cartoon.
What?
So, like, even in other games where they've are games that are like that are based on G1, he still didn't voice that.
Okay.
Like the only time he ever voiced the character was in the original cartoon. So I like this is saying everything I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to play this game. I want it.
And Devastator's in it. I wonder if it's going to be. I mean, I wonder. It doesn't. I mean, who can say? I think that I seem to remember them saying. Because they showed this, I think, right before they started E3.
Okay.
I think that YouTube showed
this. YouTube.
I wonder if it's going to have like any kind of single player campaign, or if it's just going to be basically. I mean, it can just be a multiplayer only?
I don't know. Oh, no, I would assume there's a single-player campaign.
Yeah.
But still, I'm totally...
Looks good. It's cel-shaded. Looks pretty spiffy.
Yeah, literally, all you had to say was Platinum Games Transformers, and I'm there.
Transformers Devastation. Let's see. Next up, the Mad Max Eye of the Storm trailer.
Game not talked about at any conferences.
Again, yeah, like WTF. I mean...
Scrotus with his giant...
if you're going to be called Lord Scrotus, you got to have a giant dick horn.
Yeah, dick horn.
You got to have a dick horn to stab people with your dick. I mean,
yeah, no,
if your name is Lord Scrotus, So, this trailer, which AC/DC song is it? Hell's Bells?
Yeah, Hell's Bells.
That they use? It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I think that whoever's making these trailers for Avalanche, like you were telling me some worrying stuff, and I'm just like, oh God, please don't let this game be a disappointment. Like, this is going to be worse than Aliens Colonial Marines.
Like I said, I've heard some things, and I'm like, I'm a little worrisome, but then when I mentioned who they were said by, you were like, yeah, but that guy's jaded. It's like, yeah, you got a point there, so maybe I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. This was like a little bit more story related, I guess.
Yeah.
Just talking about Lord Scrotus. It seems like that's pretty much going to be you versus him and his band of war boys. I mean, there's just so much in this trailer to like. Jumping between cars and sniping people and all kinds of
driving
stuff.
cars, and fighting people, and
ramming into cars, and like the cars with fire coming off of them, and cars that are on fire, and cars exploding. He just shoved a fucking spear in some dude's chest.
Yeah. It all looks good. I want to play it.
Yep.
Can't wait for September 1st.
Yep, it's really good. Again, you make a good point though. This game seems like it's been largely ignored by E3. Like the fact that they announced it at E3 when like Jason and I were there. And then it's been gone up until that trailer that came out just recently.
Yeah.
And then it seems like the perfect kind of game to put on a stage demo.
Yeah.
It would have been the perfect game to have gameplay footage on that PC conference. Right? Because, I mean, it's coming out. It's coming out on
is
PC,
it?
Right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is. But, PC, PS4, Xbox One. Yeah. If I were them, that's totally what I would have done. But
you're not them, and that's not what happened.
That's not me. Next year, you can hire me because you know what I look like. Even when I haven't showered and I don't even have hair to be ratty when I'm playing the Oculus. And I've got a beard, so you don't have to worry about me not shaving that day. Next up, this is kind of a weird outlier. Like, I was just pulling up trailers from E3, and I saw this, and the more that I looked at it, the more I was kind of interested in it. This is
Kings of Wushu.
King of Wushu.
King of Wushu.
This is a spin-off from Age of Wushu.
Yes.
It's an MMO. It's a Wushu MMO. And I think I looked at it one time, but I never actually played it. And this is a third-person Wushu MOBA.
Yeah. Looks, I mean, if you like Wushu-style movies, then this is probably the game for you.
Yep. They showed a bunch of characters. They all look hella cool. They all have pretty cool character designs, nifty-looking moves. Seems like it would be pretty cool. So, by the way, I'll put this in right now, folks, because, I mean, I'm sure you guys have already all commented about this, but John set me straight. Apparently, the developer of For Honor said, my game is not an MMO, or not a MOBA.
Yeah.
Looked like a MOBA.
No, his response was, I can see why people would think that, and they're justified in those thoughts, but I just want to state it's not a MOBA.
Okay.
So he was very clear, like, I understand why people are saying that, but that's not it.
Looked like creeps and everything, man. I mean, maybe I just got MOBA on the brain. But yeah, this game, I don't know, go watch this trailer. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks cool.
You got 3 or 4 minutes.
And there's some gameplay footage towards the end of it.
Yeah, well, no, not really.
I mean, some
flashes around, but it's looks pretty hot. Snake Dude. You know what it makes me want? It makes me want a Ninja Scroll MOBA.
Yeah, that would work. I'd play that.
All right, so next up on our cavalcade, let's see, we talked about Soma already. Toy Soldiers, War Chest.
This one, I don't know what to think about this, because I honestly have never played the Toy Soldier games.
I think I played one of them. Was that a Summer of Arcade game?
I think there was one that was a Summer of Arcade game.
So I wouldn't be talking about this because it's like some kind of like strategy RTS game or whatever, and you've got like a variety of different toy factions. They've got these very generic, like World War II or World War One.
Yeah, World War One soldiers,
and then a strawberry shortcake, and like a cyber future, and like a dragon guy or something. But then at the very end, and it would be the most generic trailer and whatever. But in the very end, fucking He-Man comes out.
He-Man shows up, and by the power of Grayskull, let's fight for Eternia.
Yeah, and he's riding Battle Cat. He's got Orcos coming at you, and Man-at-Arms dudes with like what looks like the exact turret from the top of Castle Grayskull.
Like these look like they're based off of actual toys.
Yeah,
and then like the trailer says the title, which is Toy Soldiers War Chest, and then they give another little reveal, which is G.I. Joe is also going to be an army in here.
Yep.
And then they say more armies to be announced soon, which suggests that they may be trying to get the rights to other toy lines to also include in this.
You know what I would really be interested in is if they manages to get enough money that they can make one that's just licensed toy lines, right?
I think that's what I mean, yeah.
I don't like the default bullshit. That all looks super generic. But if you had like Mask and Inhumanoids and Centurions and the Visionaries,
if they got the rights to G.I. Joe, they would have the rights to Mask because Hasbro actually bought that company.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so Mask is actually now part of G.I. Joe canon as well.
What?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that Matt Tracker and Snake Eyes can hang out because the figures were two different sizes?
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying they actually like bought the rights to it and now own the toy line, and then they actually made in G.I. Joe lore, they actually made the Mask an actual like offshoot of G.I. Joe.
I like the idea that Destro's mask has been a mask the entire time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to see a bunch of G.I. Joe guys. Man, because those G.I. Joe vehicles would already totally transform into something else, right?
Yeah.
Like, that would be great. That'd be great. Okay, sorry. This is a little bit...
little bit off topic.
A little bit off topic. All right, next up, Hellblade, another kind of conspicuous absence that I guess
Speaking of madness from earlier.
Yeah, kind of be like from the Sony conference, right? I mean, that would probably be where it would come out. Was this PlayStation only? Or?
I don't know if it's PlayStation exclusive, but I mean, it's Ninja Theory.
Okay.
And it's their new game.
Yeah, and we saw it. I mean, last year we saw it, and it was just kind of a cinematic trailer of this woman, just kind of doing medieval badassery, right?
Yeah.
Senua, is that her name?
Yeah, her name is Senua.
And this one is like real weird. I mean,
because it basically reveals that she's also dealing with madness or going like a mental illness, essentially.
Right.
And it's kind of
PS4 and Windows. So.
Okay. Yeah, but it's her dealing with like mental illness. It says it specifically that she's dealing with mental illness. So there's a whole lot of you're not really sure what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And there's like she's a warrior for a tribe, and it's very clear that her tribe is starting to lose faith in her because they see that she's going crazy. So she has to go on this journey to do something or other. Mm-hmm. To battle that illness. I don't know a whole lot about it. They're not being too forthcoming, which I'm actually okay with.
Yeah.
But it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks real interesting. Again, I wish that they would show a little bit more of this stuff because this is far more interesting to me than some of the other stuff that we had to sit through at some of E3. Much more interesting. You know what? It'd be interesting to do a double feature with this and the PlayStation one with the lady and what the fuck was it called? It's such a generic name. I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
But yeah, looks hella hot.
Horizon?
Yeah, and had some kind of subtitle on it.
Yeah, Zero Dawn or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's it. Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh, what is this? Kerbal Star Wars? Okay, sorry, I can't. So next up, we've got a pre-E3 trailer that I actually didn't get a chance to see before E3 started because I was so busy trying to get all my shit together for Fortnite. Epic Games is kind of Minecraft meets zombie tower defense.
Yes,
multiplayer game. I've heard some really, really good stuff about this.
I've heard some good stuff too.
I really want to play it.
Yeah, me too.
I like the style that I'm seeing. It's got a kind of one of those wonky Team Fortress-y kind of vibes
what I like
to it.
about it is it's not dark.
Yeah,
it's very colorful. Like even like when it's dark in like it's nighttime, it's very colorful.
Yeah,
and also there's nighttime or daytime levels.
Yeah,
so it's like I like that. It makes me want to play it.
Yeah, I mean I look at it and this is wasn't there supposed to be like a beta or something for it out already?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to happen a while back.
I mean, come on, man. I know you guys are making. I No, they're not making Gears, right?
No, they're not anymore.
So, they said that they're just making engines, and this is like their proof of concept for UE4, even though UE4 is already out and you could totally play it. Okay, but looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? XCOM 2 gameplay footage? Okay. Next up, Sword Coast Legends.
This was something I had not heard about until you were like, "Oh, I've heard about this," and you told me a little bit about it, and I'm like, "Oh, this sounds badass."
It was one of the things that was in like one of the montages, and I think I cut onto our stream and saw them talking about it real briefly. So it looks kind of like a weird. It kind of looks like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
It takes place in Forgotten Realms. It's a D&D game. You create your character, and then you kind of go around and blow some shit up. And it's top down, kind of isometric. It's all 3D. You can like pause like you can in Baldur's Gate and issue orders and stuff like that. Yeah, it looks like it could really go either way.
Yeah,
what we're talking about.
I mean, there's even a mode that I really like. They talk about where you can actually go into like a dungeon master mode where you can play as a dungeon master and like build your own dungeon, and then you have 4 people playing that dungeon. But while they're playing it, you can update the dungeon and add. Like if you see they're getting through some of your earlier traps way too easy, you could start putting in more traps in later in the dungeon, and then when they get to the main boss, you can even take control of the boss. So that they're not just playing an AI-driven boss. So, I mean, all that sounds really cool to me.
Yeah, as long as it works and it's not generic. I think that would be great. I mean, you could play with 3 other people. You can fill your party up with other people and their characters. I feel like we've been, the industry has been trying to do this shit with D&D for a while now.
And no one's really been able to do it right.
I mean, we've got the whole Fable Legends thing happening where they've got a fifth person controlling the dungeon and stuff. I don't know what it's going to take to get people to control the dungeon. But I don't know. It's really, I mean, it doesn't look, it's not super good looking or anything, but it looks serviceable enough. And I'd like to see if it's worth a damn, basically. All right, so next up we have the Bard's Tale 4. Very weird.
The trailer's all in first person.
Yep.
Which I don't know if the full game's going to be in first person, but the trailer's in first person, and it says it's in-game engine.
Right.
I don't know much about the Bard's Tale. I know apparently the only thing I know of the Bard's Tale is a reboot, which was the comical one with
Carrie
Elwes.
However you say his name, Eloise or whatever.
It's like that's the only Bard's Tale game I knew of.
Well, that's what's so weird about this is because this is made by the same company that made that.
Yeah.
But this is called Bard's Tale 4. So, like, where that was a reboot, this is a sequel from, like, Bard's Tale 3 that came out in, like, 1980 or something like that, or 1988 or whatever.
Okay.
So that's why, I mean, I guess it's much more serious and it doesn't so... I mean, because when you look at this trailer, it's basically just kind of like wandering around in this tomb and there's a voice talking and he's casting spells. Pretty sure the original Bard's Tale is one of those games that everybody remembers very fondly of an interesting game from back in the old days. I think this looks interesting. I can't entirely tell what exactly it is. It doesn't seem to be much of a combat-oriented game. Maybe it is, and it's just this is the trailer that we're seeing.
Yeah. It's using in-game engine, but it's not really telling us an in-game story.
Right.
Or it's not showing us in-game footage.
At the very end, some wizards pop up and they summon some little imps, and I don't know. Seems all right. We'll see. All right. Next up, we're going to have to pick up the pace a little bit. We've only got a few minutes left. Battlezone. And I just want to say, go fuck yourself.
Well, this is more them trying to recreate the original Battlezone, not the Battlezone that you remember.
I don't care. The original Battlezone. Have you played the original Battlezone in the arcade? It's garbage.
I didn't say it wasn't. Okay. I'm just saying they're trying to give that a modern-day feel of the original Battlezone.
They're all like, Battlezone, the original VR game. Is it VR because you had to shove your face up against that horrible, dirty, smelly fucking thing? Anyway, for those of you who don't know, in like 1998 or something around there, Battlezone got rebooted as this whole like kind of third-person action base building U.S. versus the Ruskies on the Mars in like the 1970s game or 60s or whatever. And when I saw Battlezone, I was so excited because I thought it was that. No, it's just some fucking drive around a Tron tank and you blowing shit up and blah 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 blue blue blue.
Could be good though.
I don't know. It could be fine. It's probably going to be a VR game, right?
Yeah, probably.
Or at least have VR support. So that's Battlezone. Let's see. We skipped that one.
We saw more footage for the Tomorrow Children.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and skip that one too, as it wasn't really a bunch of stuff. All right, here we go.
Something that was interesting.
Something that was super interesting.
You could almost say it was super hot.
That's right, super hot. Which I don't think we've seen anything since their Kickstarter thing. This is really nifty. I like the fact that they're keeping the kind of like stark white atmosphere and then like red polygonal.
Oh yeah, no, they said they weren't changing that.
Opponents. So many kind of interesting things in this. Like the entire. It's so artistic and cinematic, and the whole trailer's in slow motion. The guy's shooting and dodging the bullets, and I really want to play this game.
Yes, me too. I'm looking forward to it.
And then at the end, they say super, and then they wait just a little bit longer before saying hot.
It comes out on PC and Xbox One.
Yep, sometime this year, apparently. In between there was one that I skipped, which was I still remember it. SteamWorld Heist?
Yeah, SteamWorld Heist.
Which is from the guys who made SteamWorld Dig, but it's like a turn-based
shooter?
2D tactical shooter almost.
Yeah.
Looks really fascinating.
Yeah.
It's funny how they took, because SteamWorld Dig was just a digger simulator. Yeah. But I like the way that they took their kind of steampunk robot world and kind of made it into something out in outer space. All right, 2 more and then we're out of here.
All right.
Rock Band 4. This trailer is stupid.
This trailer is nothing about the game.
This trailer is really stupid. It's a bunch of people in their living room playing Rock Band, and then they turn into
one girl, imagine she's in a real band and has a whole life experience as the guitarist for a band, and that's.
And it's all live action.
Yeah, it's all live action.
None of it is in engine. I mean, I wouldn't.
And then they do show some in-game stuff.
Yep, they show.
But it's very quick.
Yep, which kind of sucks because I don't want to already be jaded for both Rock Band and the new Guitar Hero, but I'm kind of already jaded a little bit.
I just want them to release the new Rock Band. I don't need to see anything else.
Right.
I know it's not going to be graphically. It's going to have the same style, and they're going to add new stuff. I just want it in my hands.
Just release it, get it done. Do John a favor, folks, and don't quit dicking around. All right. And then finally, oh boy, oh boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy.
This is the game you've been asking for since the Wii U was announced.
Dude! The new Fatal Frame Maiden of the Black Water trailer. This trailer is... You know what I like about this trailer, John?
What's that?
This trailer is hella Fatal Frame.
Yes, it is.
It's not... it looks like just a slightly better looking version of the PlayStation 2 Fatal Frame, right? Yeah. It doesn't look like they've rebooted it or they've tried to do anything crazy. They've got some crazy Japan ghosts. There's a lot of hair moving all over the place. You got to hold up that Wii pad and take pictures of ghosts.
Which is really what you want in a Fatal Frame game.
That's exactly what I want. That's the only thing I ever wanted the Wii U pad to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with you completely. I'm actually I saw this trailer and I was like, oh, Fatal Frame, a new one. Okay, cool. I was like, oh, it's a Wii U game.
Yeah.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I can't wait for this.
Yeah, well, see, it was heartbreaking because I don't know if you know that this game's been out in Japan for a year.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And I knew it because I looked at the footage when they, or it's either this one or it's a different one, but they announced a Fatal Frame game. They said it was for the Wii U. They said they're releasing it in Japan, and that they're not bringing it to the United States. And I was like, the only thing that I wanted out of your dumb console, Nintendo, was a fucking Fatal Frame game. Come on! But they're doing it. They're doing it. It's great. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna wrap up. There were other things that we didn't talk about.
There were totally other things.
There's a bunch of different things, and I didn't get a chance to watch. And you know what? Maybe next week on the podcast when we're not crunched for time, or on the next week. Fuck it, we're gonna have a Rage Cast next week, but I don't know when this is coming out. I don't know. Look for it. maybe I can talk a little bit if I find like dev interviews or anything, because I know that like there was 44 minutes on the Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem on
it's like
Treehouse.
Even if you there was the Treehouse. Nintendo had Treehouse stuff going on all weekend that you can watch. Microsoft on their, if you go on the Xbox Live and go into their E3 coverage thing, they literally had a 2-hour-long video every day of showing stuff.
Wow.
Like, in addition to the conference, there were at least an hour and a half of each day of them just showing footage and interviews and stuff that they didn't talk about in the press conference.
This week I have been E3ing so goddamn hard, and I feel like I'm just barely, like I'm about halfway through what I need to watch.
Like this year, I'm going to be honest when I say this, we may have, there are probably things that we've been like down on or whatever, but I honestly think that this year has probably been the best E3 that we've had in a long while.
Absolutely. All the consoles, even the Wii U, 3DS, I mean, not like even the Nintendo stuff, but even the PC conference. Like there was some interesting stuff there, but I feel like the best part of this year is that the PS4 and the Xbox One are finally out of their launch infancy, and we're starting to see new games. We're starting to see sequels to stuff that is not just a cash grab. I feel like they're getting a little bit more discerning with what they're making HD things of, like the Gears of War stuff. It all looks really good. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that could have made... there were a few things that were conspicuously absent from this E3, like, the stuff that Microsoft said that they weren't showing and the stuff that Nintendo didn't show, Zelda and there are a few things that weren't here. But by and large, this has been a really nice E3 with a lot of stuff in it.
A lot of stuff to be excied about.
Yeah,
from
a lot
everybody.
of big announcements. And some of the stuff is ways out, like Final Fantasy or whatever, but some of it's not. Some of it's coming out in September, or October and November.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that fucking... Bethesda dropped the mic on Fallout 4 before the official E3 even started. They had a hell of a conference.
Yeah, they did. For a first conference ever, they knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned.
Like, I've watched so many conferences since then that I kind of forgot about it, but I go back and think about it. I'm like, yeah, fucking Doom and Fallout, and then there were a few other things in there that weren't Doom and Fallout, and I think they were pretty good. Or
Dishonored 2.
Dishonored 2? Yeah, there you go. So yeah, by and large, it's been a very nice year, and I don't know if I find anything else out. Great. You know what? I'm gonna say something to our fans that if you guys think that there's trailers that we need to see that we haven't talked about on any of these things, fucking use Discus, man. Put them down in the comments below. I'll check them out. I'll read all the comments. And with that, John, thank you so much. It is literally 2:00 in the morning at this point.
Yeah, I need to leave.
You've been a trooper.
Can I take this?
You can take it off.
I can take it off. I don't have to saw my leg off anymore.
While you weren't looking, I disabled all the explosives.
Oh, okay.
The door is now unlocked. I sent the secret hand signal so my dog won't cuddle you to death or whatever he would do. So yeah. Thank you so much for doing all this with me. Thanks to everybody for listening. And Batman's coming very soon.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
Keep going. See you later, everybody.
Later.